Booktube, it's Kate here for another Vlogmas video that is neither pre-filmed or Christmassy, basically. So there's a couple books that I'm really excited about that I've already read this month. I have already finished 4 books this first week of December, and it's off to a great start. So as you all know, I've had a couple slumpy reading months this past year, and it's just, you have to pick certain books for each month. And even if I DNF books that I'm not enjoying, it still does kind of set me back for a little while. And it's just December TBR for the win. But before I do that, I am replacing this video in the stead of, I was going to do like a Christmas guilty pleasures video, but there wasn't really enough to make an entire video, so I'll just show you the 3 things that I was thinking of. The first I can't show you, but I will link down below, and it is the Ariana Grande version of Last Christmas I Gave You My Heart. And it is all the like poppy type Christmas things you can think of, and I just love it. So anyhow, I will link that down below. And the second is, I have been having absorbent amounts of fresh hot cocoa. There's a Martha Stewart recipe, and with this you make like a big mix, and obviously you make it with milk because this doesn't have powdered milk like the store-bought ones. And it's 2 cups of cocoa, 2 cups of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of salt. So it's really nice, like lightly salted flavor cocoa, and it's just so rich, and I've been having so much. Insert adorable picture of Peter sipping cocoa with a whipped cream mustache. That's also essential when you're making really yummy homemade cocoa, to make freshly whipped cream for the cocoa. Oh, so good. So I've been doing lots of reading or like watching Christmas movies with that, and it's the best. And then the other guilty pleasure that I have that's featured in a vlog that you'll see at the end of the month are these Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes. These are essentially zebra cakes, but just made to look Christmassy. I like to get these at least once every year, and these are so good. It's just corn syrup in the form of a cake and icing, but I don't know what it is about them. I just love them. So I have them at least once a year. So those were my Christmas guilty pleasures that I'm just kind of fitting into this. And let me know if you try out the cocoa recipe and you like it. And it's typically like 1 cup of milk and then 1 heaping spoonful of chocolate powder that I do. All right, now I said my December TBR for the win, and also these books, hold on, well, I'll try to show. They all happen to be blue and white, and I'm moving on to a red book soon, and I don't know how it's gonna go, but somehow these are all blue and white. And okay, the very first book that I finished this December was The Christmasaurus by Tom Fletcher, and I have such a crush on Tom Fletcher now too, because I looked him up and I'm just late to the party. I knew nothing about McFly. I grew up with 98 Degrees and NSYNC, and then I saw his wedding speech, and Carolyn from BBC Girl told me about his vlog channel, and so I've been watching his and his wife Giovanna's Vlogmas, and they're just so cute. And so this was such a wonderful experience. It's just a really charming children's story, and I really liked what he did with it. It was a story that could have been kind of mediocre, but the ways that he helped the characters and had the characters grow was just really sweet, and it had fun pictures, and because of all the pictures it was easy to zoom through. So I really do recommend The Christmasaurus, and I really do look forward to when Peter's maybe 4 or 5 to reading this aloud to him, and it'll be a treat to get to it. The second book that I read was a reread, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I was telling Lisa from Liken Books though that this is like coming home, and it was so delightful. And once again, Emma from The Bookish Princess, I just love so much of what she says about Jane Austen. And just today I was watching her summary of her like 12th reread of Mansfield Park, and she said that Jane Austen is just full of surprises and things that you didn't notice before you noticed this time. So one quote that I noticed is, this is in part 1, and it's about Mr. Wickham. And it says, Mr. Wickham was the happy man towards whom almost every female eye was turned, and Elizabeth was the happy woman by whom he finally seated himself. And the agreeable manner in which he immediately fell into conversation, though it was only on its being a wet night and on the probability of a rainy season, made her feel the commonest, dullest, most threadbare topic might be rendered interesting by the skill of the speaker. I think that's very, very true for so many different things. Just, it's all the skill of the storyteller, and people can make anything interesting if they're skilled at that. The other thing that I really liked, it's in a scene where Mr. Darcy is writing a letter, and it says, "That will not do for a compliment to Darcy, Caroline," cried her brother, this is Mr. Bingley talking, "because he does not write with ease. He studies too much for words of 4 syllables. Do not you, Darcy?" I love that so much. Like, who goes out of their way when they're writing a letter to write words of 4 syllables? That to me just cracked me up. Like, Mr. Darcy is so different from me. There's a quote about Mr. Bennet that says, "With a book he was regardless of time." And I also was very, very amused by Mr. Collins, especially this go round. And such just so cringeworthy at the ball where he's like stalking Elizabeth. And it says, Mr. Collins, who continued most perseveringly by her side. So I adore Pride and Prejudice still. It's one thing though that I noticed this go around, it's definitely a lot smaller of a novel than it feels the first time that you read it. To me, the plot is just really simple, and there are these few incidents that happen, and it felt a lot shorter, a lot less like grandiose, and a lot more intimate than I remembered it being. So it's not even 400 pages, so it really isn't that long. I think it's just so iconic that I thought of it as being longer and bigger. I don't know if that makes sense or hits home with anyone, but yes, I think actually though it is not my favorite Jane Austen. I think Emma or Sense and Sensibility might be. I'm planning on next year rereading Sense and Sensibility, so we'll see what I think, but obviously I still love it so much. The next blue and white book that I finished yesterday was Cider with Rosie by Lori Lee. Now this came as a recommendation from Leslie at Words of a Reader. She did a review of it and it just sounded like such a Kate book that I wanted to get it. And then when I was book shopping this summer with Stephanie from That's What She Read, I found this Folio Society edition for not that much. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get this, and if I love it, I'll be so happy to have a nice edition of it. And if I don't love it, then it will be a really nice gift to give. But guys, I started this book, and it is a memoir of Lori Lee's childhood in rural England in between the wars. It's a very quiet book. Not much happens in it, but the writing is just lush and dynamic, beautiful, engaging. It captured my heart and soul, and that sounds so cheesy, but it's true. And another thing that I really liked about this to me is what I was hoping Lark Rise to Candleford was going to be. Like, Lark Rise to Candleford just felt so dull to me. It was interesting things, but it was put out in such a, I don't know how to explain it, but this is what I was hoping for with Lark Rise to Candleford. So I'll read a couple quotes to you, and also another bonus were these beautiful pen and ink illustrations. Very, very simple. And there was, of course, a lovely winter. So the first quote I want to read to you says, "The scullery was a mine of all the minerals of living. Here I discovered water, a very different element from the green crawling scum that stank in the garden tub. You could pump it in pure blue gulps out of the ground. You could swing on the pump handle and it came out sparkling like liquid sky, and it broke and ran and shone on the tiled floor, or quivered in a jug, or weighted your clothes with cold. You could drink it, draw with it, froth it with soap, swim beetles across it, or fly it in bubbles in the air. You could put your head in it and open your eyes and see the sides of the bucket buckle, and hear your caught breath roar, and work your mouth like a fish, and smell the lime from the ground. Substance of magic, which you could tear or wear, confine or scatter, or send down holes, but never burn or break or destroy." And then the next passage I want to read to you is his descriptions of the snow, which of course was really fun to read in this. This is his passage about the land being covered in snow. It was a world of glass, sparkling and motionless. Vapors had frozen all over the trees and transformed them into confections of sugar. Everything was rigid, locked up and sealed. And when we breathed the air, it smelt like needles and stabbed our nostrils and made us sneeze. His descriptions of nature are just amazing. And then he talks later on about being in the cowshed and helping to feed hay to the cows. And it just says the hay with grass and wildflowers juicily fossilized within, a whole summer embalmed in our arms. Such a way of capturing the experience of being in nature is absolutely beautiful. And then a book I haven't finished yet, but I'm happy that I picked this one to move on to next. And this is A Fatal Winter by G.M. Malliott. And this is the second in the Max Tudor mystery series. It's a cozy series, and it is about Max Tudor, who is a former MI5 agent turned vicar. And he has moved to the little town. It's a village mystery, and it's Nether Monkslip. And there is a very wealthy man who is found in his big castle. He's found dead. And very, very fun. And this was just the perfect one to move on to. I am honestly loving this book in the series way more than the first book in the series. And I don't know what it is. Maybe I was just ready for it at the right time. But that I'm really enjoying this. I'm about 150 pages into it. Let's see. 150 pages, and I am pairing this with the audiobook, so I'm doing some physical reading, some audiobook reading. Anyhow, I know I just talked about how I want to read slower and like savor things, but I was genuinely enjoying all of these so much. That's why I got through so much. And maybe I'll savor books that are more difficult to read, but those it was so easy to get through them, and I really enjoyed them. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about these first 4 books that are just making my December so much fun. And fingers crossed that the other books I read keep doing that, because if I just keep having this amazing of a reading month, it's just going to make for such a fun Christmas. Anyhow, I will talk to you guys soon for the next Vlogmas video. I really hope you're enjoying them. It's been so much fun just seeing all the comments from you guys and seeing kind of the comments you have on the different traditions and things that I talk about. Anyhow, I will see you guys tomorrow for another Vlogmas video. Bye, guys.